What was your first impression of Jordan?
We got one. I can remember it was our first parent meeting. And even at that time, as a senior in high school, he was 6'5", 290 pounds, and he would walk on his tippy toes, and somebody that was just freakishly athletic, you could tell just walking in the room. And then when I saw him for the first time in the weight room, how he was throwing around weights, and then going towards transitioning to the football field, he was just one that was just stood out from all of his peers in just his God gifted talent. So super excited.
When did you know he could be an NFL talent?
From the first moment I met him. I had been coaching. I was actually coaching at NAU prior to taking the Marana job. I coached at a Division II school in Kirksville, Missouri, Truman State University, and from there, just being in the room, evaluating talent. In my previous years coaching high school football here, Roy Lopez is somebody that I got to had the opportunity to coach. He plays with the Cardinals now. His dad's a high school coach up in the Valley. Nikhil Harry was one at Marcos Deniza, who plays with the Vikings. Byron Murphy was another one, played at Saguaro, and then went on. He's with the Vikings now. So just seeing his athleticism, how he carried himself, he's always been a professional in how he operates, how he carries himself day to day, from the classroom to the community. Never wanted to really get in trouble as far as worrying about where he's at, what he's doing on social media, because he wasn't on any of that. And so it made my job easier just to put him on a pedestal and make sure that hey, if you want to strive to be something and do something, post high school, Jordan's a prime example of how to carry yourself.
Absolutely. What was your favorite part about coaching him?
He was super laid back, super laid back. I think that I can remember we did there was a lot of times in high school, pregame, where it's just like, man, are you excited? And just having the opportunity to try, like, whether it be slapping him beside his helmet and trying to motivate him personally, like, man, you play the offensive line, you gotta be what we call quote unquote a dog, to maul somebody from point A to point B against their will in the trenches. It takes a different kind of mindset. So I think that was probably the funnest part about it, because he's such a great kid, such a nice kid, and really trying to bring that out of him. So
What was he like in practice?
just somebody very coachable. He's always been somebody that was extremely coachable. Never had to worry about getting on him. I think there was times where obviously in the dog days of summer, everybody gets a little spent at practice, but uh, he he did everything that we asked of him. And there was never a time where he went against his coaches. His coach, two of his coaches that he was fortunate enough to have two for specifically his position. With me being the head coach, Vince Amy, who's now the defensive analyst up at ASU, and then Kyle Quinn, who was actually Nick Foles' center at the U of A. He was a graduate assistant there, coaching him. I'm sorry, coaching at the U of A. So it's just the wealth of knowledge that we surrounded Jordan with. I think just that spoke volumes of the opportunity of getting him ready for college, and then obviously the job that Coach Sumlin and Coach Fish did for him as well throughout his years there at the U of A. Helped out as well.
You have a favorite memory?
Favorite memory. I'd have to say taking him up to NAU where he got his first scholarship. When the U of A first offered him, I'll never forget. We went up to NAU's mega camp over the summer. Um, uh, you know, I had a relationship with Coach Sumlin and Coach Gilbert, who was the offensive line coach at the time. He's actually the offensive line coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now, and they saw him in the warm up lines. They didn't see him in drills. They saw him going through warmups, and they offered him on the spot. And so him having that opportunity, who was somebody who was really under recruited, in my opinion. USC came late, ASU came late, a few other teams were in the mix. But to have your hometown team offer you, be your first offer, going into your senior year, I think that was super special for him.
And what do you make of the legacy that he created and left behind at Marana and at the U of A?
Um, somebody, I think the simple word is hometown hero. I think that's a cliche word that gets thrown around a lot. Um, but just somebody that you can emulate, somebody that you can strive to be. Jordan's mom and dad, Anna and John, did a phenomenal job raising him. I think, from just again focusing on academics, not worrying about stars, not worrying about the instant gratification of social media and the clicks, which gets kind of thrown at the forefront nowadays in high school and collegiate sports. It was something just extremely special for him to navigate and go through, with just keeping the main thing, be a good person, be a good student, be a good athlete in that order. And I think he's reaping those benefits now, having a tremendous successful career at the U of A, and now have an opportunity to be a first round draft pick.
And how would you describe him as a football player?
Uh, it's he's developed over the years. So from my experiences and just watch him continue to grow, it's a dog, somebody that's extremely athletic, somebody that's long because he's 6'6" now, 300 something pounds. He can kick set really well. He's got great feet, and I think that's really what separates him apart from other tackles in the draft. It's just because of his athletic ability and his strength. I think his strength is his number one. His hand size. So you know I got asked a question last week, could he play guard? And he probably could, but I think ideally, you want somebody protecting the quarterback's blind side at that left tackle position.
Absolutely. And for you, what would it mean to see him get drafted, either in the first round or in the second round or so forth?
Yeah, it's a dream come true. I think that's what as coaches, that's why we do, the job, to see your student athletes having opportunities to present themselves like this. I'm fortunate enough to have a few guys that have played, that I've crossed paths with, that are playing in the National Football League right now. But for Jordan, somebody who I consider, a close friend now, calls me, FaceTime, we talk to him whenever. That's what I get the most joy out of, is just seeing the kids that I've had the opportunity to be around, be successful in their career endeavors, whether it's in the NFL, whether it's in college, whether it's in business. We've had a lot of different kids go a lot of different routes, and they're happy and they're thriving and they're being prosperous in the career. So I think that's what I get the most pride out of.